back in it we are. So when we left off, we just finished building the first year semester classes for our little magic students. So I think now what we're gonna do is continue on with the second and third year classes. So you can see we've already got somewhat of an idea of mind here for things to do, like magic creativity, skills for the different magic classes, magic engineering, and combat magic, magic application, etc., etc. So now it's just a matter of like figuring out how we want to utilize this, because I'm thinking what we want to do is give these guys a lot of free time, essentially. So even though they would only have like a single class for this one semester being like magic theory and whatnot, they're not necessarily going to spend like a full 8-hour day doing nothing but that. I'm thinking how I kind of want the school education and even like the general working systems themselves to be is going to be a much healthier way of development for human beings in general, not just like cramming them filled with knowledge. So we say in any like one given day they maybe spend 3 to 4 hours in class studying these things. And similar to how there's going to be a shorter calendar year, it's going to be like a shorter day as well, like a 20-hour day or whatever instead of 24 hours. And maybe like 10 hours daylight, 10 hours of sleep or whatnot. Or 10 hours of daylight and 10 hours of nighttime. So with that said, I'm thinking we have say 3 to 4 hours of like study. The other like 3 or 4 hours can be like clubs and sports and other free time like that. So we mentioned some clubs previously, like helping to allow the students to enable themselves to creatively use magic and apply it for like engineering purposes or whatever they want in their own free time, or even just like strengthening their own like innate capabilities, like practicing channeling mana faster or making their magic circles more dense or larger or more numerous or whatever. So the school's basically teaching them the strategies they need to do it, and once that's done, it's up to the students themselves to, in their own free time, make the most of it doing what they want. So with that in mind... Oh, hey Rara, how are you doing? But yeah, with that in mind, let me see. Just quickly put up some bullets here. Because basically, with how we're doing this system, I think once we finish the classes, the first thing we're gonna do is either start on the club activities and the sports, or like the once a semester / yearly major events. You're good? You're like an hour into a 2-hour drive. Oh wow. Well, hopefully I can keep you a bit of company. Where are you going? What are you doing? I hope that isn't something you do every day, that kind of drive. Just gonna grab these classes here. I'm going to put them in little separate notes as reference. There we go, and now we can kind of put those down wherever we want. Work stuff, not usually that far, but not dispatching today. So, overtime. That sounds fun. Well, hopefully I'll be around for the rest of your drive to keep you company and keep you awake maybe, because I imagine it's pretty late for you there too. Let me see. So we got our first year classes here. So we got Magic Theory, learning about the world of magic itself, magic application, and magic fundamentals. So that's mostly theoretical magic, leading into more practical towards the end. So I think that the second year onwards we want more practical magic. So we have here magic creativity, magic engineering, combat magic, and magic application. So magic application kind of ended up being more so the first year thing. I'm sure we can come up with another way to apply the magic and the magic systems. Maybe let's look at the definition for application, because I might need to rename that class. The action of putting something into operation. Yeah, it's kind of a bit generalized, so I really could use it for both the purposes I had in mind, but let's see. I would say since the first year was mostly theoretical, we definitely want to start some practical magic here. So maybe that's what we're going to call this one. Practical magic. And so that'll be like maybe just a general basics of learning about the 4 different schools of magic. So we have thermo. I might keep it like that. I'll revisit the subcategories in a bit, but maybe here we can do magic engineering as well, because I definitely want to start on both practical magic and magical engineering at the second year. Let's see. Because, well, in terms of practical magic, it's mostly going to be intended to be the basics of how to use it. So maybe include basics in that title. So practical magic basics. I don't necessarily need to finalize the names for now, mostly of what they want these classes to cover. So maybe this one can be practical magic application, and this one can be magic basics. Sounds a bit more fitting in terms of naming conventions, and this allows for a pretty good flow of the development or educational aspect of the like a linear curve of how one would really learn magic in an environment like this. And so we do have like the clubs for like magic engineering and like dueling magic and stuff too that we're going to have outside of these classes. So it might be worth just like thinking about some of these clubs here quickly too. Because basically, as I was mentioning before, in terms of like how the system is going to work, the schooling system, so you only have like half a day of classes and half a day of free time. So ideally, we'll have like a single class throughout the 3 years for magic engineering to learn what it's about and the basics, and to have people show an interest and get into it. And then based on how they like it or how they go with it, then they can spend the rest of their free time in the magic engineering club, which is like purely focused on that, and they can do that every day for the rest of their schooling years if they need to. I think that's a good way of going about it. Because since magic is such a broad thing in general, you don't really have the capacity to like specialize in any one thing properly without sacrificing something else. So we have the main classes be the more generalized ones. But yeah, that's definitely a better way of going about it. Okay, so magic engineering. Let me see. I guess we kind of need to have a combat magic one. That might not necessarily remain in the third semester, but if we do have a little bit of a one-on-one tournament for the students, the earlier they learn that, probably the better. And then maybe we can have the creative magic class at the end. So now that they've kind of learned the basics of magic, how to flow their mana, how to make spell circles and pronounce incantations and all that other stuff, they've learned and they've learned the basics of like practical combat and magic engineering. Now they can learn how to think about how to use it themselves outside of the predefined systems that they've been shown. Okay, I like that. In that case, ironically enough, I feel like that covers a lot of the major basics for what the school would want to teach throughout its kind of time period. Which pretty much leaves the third year open to do literally whatever they want. So maybe then they can, choose which aspects they kind of want to focus on and just like specialize their final year in magical theory or magical engineering or combat magic or whatever. More like a university than a high school. Let's see. So these are all the mandatory ones up to this point, and then final year everything can be optional. Now, do I need any subheadings for these other classes? I don't really think so, because basically we have these subheadings to focus on these niche elements between them, but in this case I'd say it's literally just going to be the same four things over and over. So thermodynamics, kinematics, optics and acoustics, and electromagnetism. Yeah, so the second year is when they really begin to learn about all the differences between these spell schools. So they can figure out which ones they like, which ones they want to specialize in, etc, etc. Cool. So I would say, this being an Institute of Magic, while it will teach combat magic, get a luck while you work on your own stuff. No worries. Thanks for joining us, Chloe. Let's see. So we probably won't have these guys teach war magic, because war magic's its own specialized thing. I'd say that's like a post-graduate thing they would do if they want to enlist or something. Oh, give me a sec, I've got someone at my door. Righty, I am back. Sorry for that. Let me see if I can get this music restarted, because that seems to have stopped as well. Either that, or it's just really quiet. Okay, well, while you're working on your own stuff there as well, Chloe, feel free to share what you're up to if you feel like doing so, but if you just want some background noise to keep you company while you're doing your own thing, that's fine too. Oh, you can just type if you like. Get some good old chat box interaction. But yeah, okay, let me see. So, we have a good setup for our first 2 years of classes here. I'm pretty happy with all of that. And let me see. So for the 3rd year, everything will kind of be optional. So we'll say the things that want to specialize would either be magic engineering or combat magic, or I was wondering about adding some kind of theoretical, like research-based magic in there, but I feel that could really fall underneath either magic engineering or combat magic, because you can really do either theory or practical. Yeah. That kind of falls in line well with the first and second year setup, because the first year's like first semester is the magic theory, and second year first semester is the practical magic. Cool. And what we're going to do is we're just going to literally copy paste that to all of these other parts. And we are going to be happy with that. So I think that's a pretty good class setup. And then we kind of need to expand on the clubs, the festivities, and the events and whatnot. You're working on your first chapter. As you arrive at the city, a little sprinkling of future plan stuff. That's pretty nifty there. Can't wait to hear it / read it. Okay. In the meantime, so dueling and engineering are definitely going to be the two major magic clubs. Although I kind of like the idea of some kind of exploratory club who goes on like field trips and adventures to sites or fonts of magic to like study the mana and the atmosphere and the kind of magical beasts that are there. I was kind of wondering what, if anything, we'd really call that, but I guess for now we can just call it adventuring, even though that's going to be an entirely different thing. Can't wait to rewrite it 10 times. Well, that is how things tend to go. Personally, what I feel is if you are like more so publicly working on the process like this, or like getting feedback as you go and like brainstorming with others and articulating your thoughts out loud, it actually helps solidify what you've kind of done. Because if you kind of just keep it in your head without getting it out there into the world, then it remains a concept. But as soon as you've like got it down and out and like shared it properly, then it kind of becomes a bit more finalized, and it helps prevent you from like doubting yourself or changing your mind as well, I feel. Having other people help keep you in line goes a long way. I mean, it depends on whether you're asking for actual critique and feedback or not. Because like, if you're just sharing it with a friend for enjoyment, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, cool, good job, like keep doing what you're doing because it's your thing. But if you like legitimately request feedback, people will give you it. But if you're not asking, then generally people have enough common sense to not overwrite your ideas with theirs. Yes, and that's the other reason, because people are self-conscious and don't like critique. So if you don't ask, no one's going to tell you. Let's see here. I'm going to take these back out. For now, we are going to rename school years to school classes. And we'll probably revisit this some stage and flesh it out once we finish the other things we're going to be working on. Okay, so now I want to work on school clubs. So, what kind of clubs do we want in this world? You welcome the critique, I just hate asking. In that case, should I always give you critique even if you don't ask? If anyone has any suggestions for some magic school clubs, feel free to let me know as well, because I think we'll have so magic engineering and magic dueling for sure, some kind of adventuring thing. A club for each branch of magic, each school of magic rather. We'll probably also have magic theory club, just putting down some question mark ones for now. Practical magic club. Maybe also mana refinement slash technique slash magic refinement club. And that'll basically be the basics of the basics, like your mana flow, your drawing and everything like that. So I haven't thought as in-depth about how to fully utilize like these clubs, so maybe there'll be some only available to first years or some only be available to third years or whatnot, because while the first years are still learning, I imagine they'll be barred from like the combat magic clubs until they've completed the requisite class or the requisite year, for example. But outside of that, let me see. History for the nerds, yeah. There is a magic history class, but yeah, no, like a performing arts thing or an artsy thing could be cool. The magic arts, performing arts, etc. Magic history. Magic art, flashy cool creative magic shows. Yeah, so we'll have a magician class where they aren't actually becoming mages, they're becoming magicians, and they're using actual magic as like stage performance magic. That makes me want to go back to the classes real quick, because what we can essentially do is have a club for each of these classes. So a theoretical magic club, which goes into the magic health and safety, history of magic, magic lore, because there would definitely be a place for that in the world at large. Then we have World Magic Club, and that's basically, again, like all about environmental mana, magic in daily life, like that kind of stuff. The Magic Basics Club, just temporary names for now, and that's like mana flow, circles, pronunciation, Magic Fundamental Club. So it's like the processing speed and all that other stuff too. Yeah, I kind of like that. That we'll have practical magic, magic engineering, combat magic, magic creativity, etc., etc. Magic Lord of Fate Club. You know Zan would do that. For real, for real. Alrighty. But no, I kind of like that. I feel like we're going in a good direction with those. But we need an isekai into this magic school and play out how we acted in actual school. The awkward, nerdy-ass 14-year-olds with acne. Well, I mentioned before, briefly, I haven't gone into too in-depth to it, but basically, part of how I want to do this this TTRPG play system is to basically give the players the option to go in with no backstory and essentially just play as themselves being isekai'd in. Yeah, like magic sports. One of the schools of magic kinematics is basically all about like force and motion, which basically just makes people faster and stronger, essentially. Which will have interesting implications when applied to sports. But I'm not sure whether I want to have them playing like real sports. I want to come up with like my own original kind of magic sport, maybe based on like the different schools of magic. So maybe like the electromagnetism school of magic has a sport that involves people like flying around on these hovering metallic discs, and the goal is to like knock each other off, or literally just Quidditch but with floating metal discs instead. Another one I remember, I was briefly mentioned before about like the irregular magic high school. I believe there was like the magic sport competition or whatever in that world. I don't remember if I'm remembering right, but there was what I have an idea in mind for the thermodynamics club is maybe you have like two people like contesting each other, and they create like a giant block of ice on each side of their field, and they compete to melt each other's ice block while keeping their own frozen for as much as possible, or whatever. Just some fun things like that. I had a cool chess-based sport event when you were a kid. Each team has a person representing each chess piece. Are you just talking about Wizard's Chess? Bro, you tell me not to do Quidditch and then tell me to do Wizard's Chess. Wizard's Chess is also from Harry Potter. Basically, you get the chessboard with the chess pieces, and you play like normal chessboard. But when the pieces like take each other, they literally just like destroy each other, literally. That's funny. But yeah. Let me see. So, we'll have theoretical magic club. Yeah, so we're literally just gonna have the clubs be specializations of the basic classes that are mandatory to take. So. Let me get these down here. Okay. So we have magic fundamentals. I'll come up with proper names for all this stuff eventually, but this will do for now. So mana processing speed, magic circle, density. I'll just call it mana density. That should be fine for now. You hate the layout? I like it. The layout. It's very convenient and interactive for what I find useful for putting this stuff together. So we're definitely going to have a magic engineering club. A magic dueling club. Magic sports club. Rather than creativity, we'll say magic arts club. Too much of a programming nerd. Well, I'm glad you have your own little software you like using there. Now, let me think. In terms of practical magic, as a club itself, I don't really know if that's gonna be a real thing, because basically with the actual classes themselves, the practical magic is literally like learning the basics of the 4 schools of magic, essentially. So in this case, either I guess it kind of makes sense to... basically, I have one of two options. Either A, I can lump in all four specializations into this single club, or B, they can each have their own separate club. Because the purpose of the club will basically be to learn more about like your ideal classification of magic. But since they're technically capable of using all classes of magic, yeah, because like in comparison, like the sports club or the magic engineering club, the magic engineering club's probably a better example. Like you're gonna have people from all four disciplines making objects, and they might not necessarily be limited to one school of magic per object. I'll leave it blank for now, and I'll think on it. In the meantime, we'll do a magic expedition club. Just whack magic into the name of everything. Okay, so the adventuring club's kind of like a cross with the world magic club I kind of had listed as an initial concept on the side there. I think their daily lives as students at the school will be enough to like just experience daily life naturally. As for a magic creativity club, I think having a club for the pure intensive purpose of experimenting with magic may be frowned upon in an environment with young, impulsive students who will probably do more harm than good with it. So I think having some kind of like performing arts thing will be better for them. But looking at it now, I have a nice lifted 9 clubs there, and I think that being a nice number means I won't separate things into even like more clubs from there, because otherwise it's just going to be too much. Okay, so theoretical magic I'm cool with, magic basics I'm cool with, magic fundamentals I'm cool with. Magic engineering is basically just going to be making inventions that utilize magic in some fashion. And I've got to come up with a sport, ideally one for each school of magic. Same with the magic arts. Having some kind of like way to express yourself creatively with each school of magic would be nice. Magic Expedition Club will be exploring worldly fonts of magic. Experiencing the latent or ambient manner in the atmosphere. Learning about natural influences of magic, like exotic beasts, plants, minerals, things like that. see, would they do anything else? I'm gonna change that name back to Worldly Magic. Cool. This one will be the basic application of the 4 schools of magic. And then practical combat experience utilizing magic. Cool. So now we need a sport and a creative art utilizing the 4 schools of magic: thermodynamics, kinematics, electromagnetism, and optics and acoustics. I imagine like some kind of sport for the the optics and acoustics school can literally just be like hide and seek. That everyone's fucking invisible. That sounds pretty nutty to me. Thinking literally just like melt down for the Magic Sports Club, because the 2 participants have their own magic ice block. They need to preserve the state of their ice while trying to melt the oppositions. And Meltdown seems like a fitting name for that. Optics and acoustics can literally be hide and seek, but onto an extreme level. It's whoever catches the other first, so they're both hiding and seeking from each other simultaneously. That can be both an individual or a team sport. I could see it going either way, really. Oh. Electromagnetism. I do like the floating magnetic discs idea. And there's a few different things you could do with that. So it's like racing slash yeah, because I mean, if they just like try to knock each other off, it's more of a combat sport than an actual sport. I like the idea of racing a bit more for it, because it's not necessarily a game, it's just like a unique kind of thing they can do only with that. So that just leaves kinematics. Now, what kind of sport could we do with movement and force? My immediate thought is like the spear that penetrates anything and the shield that can't be penetrated by anything. Basically just like have two people like trying to forcibly push against each other and see who wins. With like two giant like blocks of metal or some shit like that. It seems super basic and crude. Alternatively, we can have a thing where maybe they like stand on platforms like dodgeball, but rather than throwing the ball, they're basically like accelerating balls of force to knock each other down or off the platform or whatever. I kind of like the idea of that. It kind of leans back into the floating metallic disc idea from earlier. But yeah, rather than like moving around on the disc, they're like standing on solid, stable platforms and trying to knock each other off. Joust without the horses. Yeah. The thing is with kinematics, it being like force in motion. Well, it does make sense for it to be a race-based thing. I think it would just end up being like a regular running race, but with like faster people, and that doesn't sound as like fantasy or as fun to me. I guess I kind of like the dodgeball idea a bit. Dodge force. I don't really know what to call it yet. Participants on a platform try to knock others off by throwing force balls. Yeah, it would. I'm just thinking on it a bit more, because I definitely want some kind of more competitive games, if that makes sense, or sports, which aren't like full combat sports, because that's going to be like its own thing entirely, basically. But let me see. So I'm thinking if we have like a tournament between the mages, the mage tournament itself may not necessarily be a combat tournament, but a sports tournament where they like cycle playing these games in tandem, because it's a better like execution of the innate strengths and weaknesses of the respective skills of magic, so it can be a really good exercise or opportunity for people to really find out what they can do with this stuff, basically. So I'll put a bit of a question mark after the kinematics one for now. Jousting isn't competitive. I mean, I'm not saying that joust isn't competitive. More so that like it's a bit too close to something that already exists, just with a minor spin. I kind of want to have like make it really feel like it's another world, if you get my drift. But yeah, all competitions at once in the same arena sounds like chaos. Let me see. I do still like the dodgeball idea, but yeah, no, I think I might need to come back to that once we've fleshed out the world itself at large a little bit more. Mostly because I still don't have like a full idea of like what materials we might find where, for example. Because there could be some like unique objects which will be like floating balls. Oh yeah, no, like floating balls that kind of like maintain their own gravitational orbit just in the air in general, which remain stationary unless force is exerted on them to move them. And you can basically play like a giant game where you just like shoot all of these like floating balls at each other in the sky, and it might not necessarily be trying to hit each other or knock each other off, but to have the most in your area by the end of a time limit, either by pulling and manipulating some of them to you or knocking others away, and could really add in a few different elements to a game like that. Pool, 3D pool. Yeah, like something closer to that could be pretty interesting, yeah. Like you start with a giant pile of balls in the center of the sky floating in the arena, and you can like shoot out force projections to blast them apart and move them around, and you've got to aim to get them into their goals. I kind of actually really like that idea. I was actually visiting my grandmother last week, and I played pool while I was there with her, and she kicked my ass. But no, just like thinking about it now, like a 3D pool, I'm thinking like Blitzball. You're just in this giant like sphere in the sky. Yeah, no, I like that. Let's go with that. That's a much better idea. Thank you for your suggestion, Chloe. So, 3D pool, and I will just leave that as the description, because honestly, I would play a 3D version of pool, you know. Not you avoiding writing, yeah. You can write with me instead. Alrighty. No, that's great. Okay, and now we need to do the same for performing arts. Optics and acoustics off the bat will be interesting, because you can literally create like light shows and audio concert experiences, because it basically being the skills of light and vibration, or vision and sound. With the power of acoustics, you could potentially create the sounds that you cannot hear with any other kind of musical instrument. And at the same time, with like optics, you could like paint art in the sky, weaving refractions of light, and create a never before seen kind of experience through it. I honestly love the sound of that. the fun flips. Acrobats, yeah, I can kind of see that. Elevated dancing. Yeah, let me think. Kinematics is some kind of like advanced gymnastics. Like you see people doing like pole vaulting without a pole, and as they flip they do like a routine in air. I think some kind of like anti-grav basically. Insane gymnastics is very fitting for that. But that's again also like more of a sport than a performing arts. Yeah. I do love that gymnastics idea though. Because it's less competitive and it's more like an expression of an art form, basically. Even if it is a bit more physical. It's like a ribbon dancing, or dancing. Like dancing itself is more of a performing art than a sport. It's just a very physical one. So no, I think that makes sense. We'll put /dance next to it too, because maybe there'll be some kind of dance with that. Because I'm thinking now you could have like some kind of show that combines elements of these facets. So you've got like the audio and the light experience from the optics and acoustics, whereas you have like a performing artist, or like a gymnastics / dance routine going on in the middle of this audio visual show experience. Thermodynamics, my immediate thought, ice sculpting. Creating works of art through ice. You getting cheese? No worries, buddy. So the last one is the electromagnetism. What do we do with you? Electricity can do a great deal of things, as can magnetism. I'm a little bit stumped to how we could do that. Let me like do a brief search with our friend ChatGPT, and we'll say, how can electromagnetism be utilized in performing arts? And we'll just see if it juts out anything. It's basically, yeah, it's kind of saying what I was thinking. It's about technology to enhance audio and visual. Pushing the boundaries of traditional art forms. I like the idea of some kind of interactive exhibit. But yeah, no, that kind of falls more under what we already had in mind for our other things. let's see. This might have to be something we come back to at some stage, because we, again, don't necessarily need to come up with something for it now. But maybe it can be some kind of practical application of magic. All the immediate thoughts kind of just overlap a bit too much with the optics and acoustics for this one, unfortunately. But maybe as we kind of continue building up this world elsewhere, in time we might come up with a more fitting way to achieve what we want with this. For now, I don't know if there's anything else we need. Welcome back, buddy. If you have any further suggestions for some kind of performing arts with electromagnetism, you're welcome to let me know. But yeah, I think that might be one we revisit. Those small metal looking thingies that kind of look like sand and moved around. You mean nanobots? I love how the first thing you said was just balls. Like no further explanation was required. Yeah, I mean, I get what you kind of mean. Because basically you could like make a living. Oh, yeah, no, I'm getting an idea now. So it'd be like a 3D version of the lights and sounds produced by the acoustics. So interactive / movable. Dancing 3D electromagnetic sculpture. Example: an Eastern dragon which moves and coils like a real one. Yeah, so you've got like the people dancers. You've got the lights, you've got the sounds, then you have like sculptures of ice and like serpents of fire twirling, etc. for the fire part of thermodynamics, and yeah, no, I think that'll definitely make the performance come more alive, because I can really imagine now, like, you're hearing all this, all these sounds that never before heard, thanks to the acoustic magic as the light show. No need for, like, general lighting or electricity. You just have someone weaving light to show you what wants to be seen when they want you to see it on the stage, with the sculptures and statues kind of like twirling around as the electromagnetic serpents and the fire serpents kind of like entwine with each other and reach up to the sky, and having like all four schools of magic working together at once to create this captivating like festival or stage show that otherwise can't be produced in any other fashion. Alright, no, I think that's good. I'm pretty happy with all of those. So, classes are done, clubs are done. Oh, and the like the serpents, the sculptures, and the electromagnetic creations they make can be based on the magical beasts that represent their schoolhouses or whatever. True. Alright, with that said, let's come up with activities. So these will be separate from classes and clubs. This is like a once a year / once a semester event. These like library houses that all the students of that house live in. Yeah, I'm thinking of having like magic towers that they live in. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so don't worry about those ones there for now. What we're gonna do is come up with annual school activities for major like events and festivals that happen throughout the school years. So we're definitely gonna have like a wizard tournament, followed by a wizards versus knight tournament. I think a competition is probably brought out for that one. So we are gonna want to have some kind of intra-school season or something for stuff. The knights are in a different school. Wizards plus knights versus other wizards and knights. Yeah, no, that could be interesting. Let me see. Because one of the things that we might do at some stage is like have them go on expeditions as well. So maybe one of the times they go on an expedition, if they go on a joint expedition with the night school, and they have to kind of like team up with them then. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. Let me see. So, we'll need to think of first year activities. Second year activities. And third year activities. I like the idea of them teaming up in the in like a little inter-school battle thing here, because rather than the wizards versus the knights, having a wizard and a knight versus a wizard and a knight sounds a lot funner. in my opinion. So maybe they do like a one-on-one contest, which is Wizard on Wizard and Knight versus Knight, and they have a 2-on-2, which is the Wizard and the Knight versus a Wizard and a Knight, and then they have like a group thing where they have like a squad of 4 or a squad of 6. You have like 2 or 3 Wizards and Knights, kind of like going against each other in squad combat. That would be interesting. It would also, it could lead to like a dampening in teamwork, because like if you want to win the 2v2 or the group, you'll probably want to be less inclined to hurt your one-on-one partner, if that makes sense. And while there's an argument that you could simply do the one-on-one at the end instead, what I kind of like the idea of is having the one-on-one at the beginning, because then you kind of learn like of all of these students on an individual scale who is the top of the top, and that creates targets to aim for in the duo and group competitions. And it will kind of like showcase the difference between individual skill and group strategy and tactics at that stage. Probably, but we can also just like say the team up is forced, essentially. Because keep in mind, how this is going to work is, since this is going to be a TTRPG system, if you are playing this with a group of friends, the theory is like there'll be 4 of you who are at the wizard school, and then you each get your own little knight companion, and with your knight companion you get to fight the other players in 1v1s or like team up for 2v2s. That just sounds like so much fun to me. Yeah, like for sure, like, it would definitely be an interesting mix, like having players physically in the same like play session be at these other schools at different times, like, and you can kind of experience both at once without actually being at the other. It'll lead to an interesting dynamic in terms of like how much individual agency players get and like their own individual playtime. But I think so long as you don't expand it past 2 schools, then it should still be just fine. But honestly, I really love the sound of that, and I really want to play that now, or DM it even rather. So now I have even more motivation to finish this thing, as long of a slog it'll be. I think in that case, what we'll do is after I finish the magic school, maybe we can move on to the Knight School in the neighboring kingdom next, and we can kind of work them in tandem, which will make it a lot easier to flesh out a system for them, because if we just focus on these 2 standalone systems, which are kind of within their own worlds, like you don't even have to worry about the larger worldview outside, then I could start playtesting this system a lot sooner than intended on a much smaller scale. Would you be a knight or a wizard, or do you need to learn a little bit more about how they work? Because keep in mind the differences being like the knights get like aura and shit, and the wizards get like these physics-based spell schools. Well, you could be a hybrid, but you can't be a hybrid till after you graduate, basically. This is the beginning of your journey. Probably a knight. Yeah. Would you be a lady knight, a manly knight, and an androgynous knight? Yeah, you're a big, strong, manly man, aren't you? Alrighty. Yeah, no. Snatch up the cute little mage boy. Nah, I'd be the mage boy who gets himself the fit as fuck night chick. Like, just get me a girl with abs, you know? Okay, well. Okay, so I love the little inter-school night maging there with them. Now, what we also need is a performing arts festival. Big end of year graduation stage show. Produced by the Performing Arts Club, combining all 4 schools of performing arts. Magic. I like the idea of that. And then maybe the second year can be the second year students performing arts festival. And we will say new school year ceremony. Has, or rather, each new semester ceremony has a performance by one of the 4 performing arts clubs. And then we'll say, end of semester sports festival. Magic school prom. Oh, we're definitely having a prom. We'll say after the group on group battles, we'll have a joint graduation dance prom with the night school. Yeah. Now, performing arts is one thing, because basically each of the performing arts schools will basically just like practice all semester in order to produce their upcoming show, basically. Whereas on the other hand, the sports guys, well, their activities will be like seasonal as well. It's a little bit different. 'Cause I'm just like thinking, because they'd probably want to like play all year round. Because performing arts is basically like preparing and practicing for the one big show, whereas the sports guys are like playing that sport like live all the time. But how would we include that? Because that's the problem with 4 sports, you can't just have like one big game or show for them all. Announcers Club, yeah. I imagine members of the club not playing do the announcing, since they'd be the most knowledgeable on the thing. Cause yeah, I mean, ideally I'd have like a tournament each semester for each of the sports clubs, which sounds nice in theory, but the thing with that is, what would those sports be doing for the rest of the year, basically? Because you can basically say the school set the standard for like anyone wanting to do sports has to focus on any given one at any given time, but that just doesn't sound right. I mean, training, yeah, but are they really going to spend a whole year training only to play for a single season? Or is that how real life sports works? But I don't know. Might need to come back to that a little bit. Yeah, maybe. I'll leave a bunch of question marks next to that for now. I think I'm gonna have to change how I'm displaying this too. So we're gonna have these for sure. This for sure. Question mark for what we do with sports. Once a semester expedition. Intra-school wizard contest. Which kind of falls under sports. Too distracted. You're welcome, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I guess they can play the sports casually all throughout the year, but there's only one. They only get like one semester each, where they actually get to play their sports as part of a competition. That might be the best way to kind of do it. Okay, so intra-school wizard sport competition. 1 sport per semester. Okay. Let's see. Apart from that, there will also be exams, and I'll also need to think about holidays, weekends, free time. I'm gonna have to come up with like school rules and shit as well at some point. Like, oh, you're not allowed out after dark, or whatever. But, yeah, so I also want some kind of magic engineering contest. Debate clubs can go fuck themselves. I think that's it for now. I'll just review the classes as well. Yeah, he's definitely a nerd. There's definitely always a knight pair that's Seeker after Doctor Meetup. Well, the thing is, the knights and the mages are in different academies in different countries. So while that definitely would happen on the joint ventures when they do meet up, it's not going to be like a full-time thing that they can do whenever. Let me see. Any other activities? Your mental fanfic. Don't worry, maybe there'll be another institution somewhere else that kind of does a little bit more of everything to a less specialized degree. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. I mean, feel free to start writing fanfics based on my board instead of your own if you find it easier. Okay, I'm just gonna take this section out as a bit of a note for me to get to later. What we need to think of is school uniforms as well, because we're definitely making the wear robes and shit. Yeah, maybe. Rather than different uniforms, maybe they get like a different badge or something to show their year level. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. So we're also going to need to think of professors for the school, who teaches which class, who supervises which club, etc, etc. We're going to have to come up with places of fonts of power for expeditions, type of environment, /beast, /minerals, /plants, /magic systems, permeate the area. Yes, I'm sure you would make a great professor. What I need to do at some point is see if I can put chat into the OBS, because basically what Restream does is it allows me to see both Twitch chat and YouTube chat at once from the one screen. So if I can like overlay that little window on the thing, and what that might allow me to do is like have the Twitch chatters talking to the YouTubers at the same time. Yeah. Well, if or when I start like actively utilizing a webcam, I believe the best place for that's like bottom right. But I think maybe a little text box could just go slightly above it. Because basically with how Milanote works as well, is I tend to have stuff on the center or the left, because I don't like putting stuff underneath this little unsorted thing here. I like having that free space available to me, so it won't cover as much stuff up on the right side. Yeah, no, I'll think about that a little later on. Alrighty. Cool, so I'm just going to check some things off here. So we've kind of checked off clubs and everything, we've checked off classes. Got the 4 schools. Is there a Magiguni? For now, I'm just treating it as a high school. I'm not going to worry about thinking of a uni until later. I imagine rather than a uni, it'd be more like entering a magical engineering school specifically, or like becoming an adventurer, or enlisting in like the nation's magic corps. I'd say yes for the 15 to 17 thing. It's like peak youth age. Like young enough to be free, not old enough to be an adult. I mean, they were horrible for me as well, but that's because I was battling with incredibly severe clinical depression due to extraordinary life experiences. But for people who don't have like shitty upbringings, those are like the peak years, I would say. Alrighty, with that said, okay, where should I go from here? Do you have any suggestions for me on what to work on next? Well, I can give you some options, or you can just throw something out there and let me know what you think, because I think the most appropriate place for me to go to next would be fleshing out these classes a little bit. So like coming up with a curriculum for magic theory, coming up with some kind of history and origin of magic, and expanding the worldview a little bit, if that makes sense. just like going more into depth into what they kind of study each year. If you want, you can choose like a year level or a class to start with, if you like. It's worth noting, third year is pretty much just gonna be the same thing, so I wouldn't worry about that one. So maybe more the first or second year. What would you like to hear about? Magic in daily life. Interesting. Why would you like to hear about the magic of daily life? Okay. Well, I think to be able to do that, I kind of have to start with the schools of magic themselves first, which, in all honesty, I might have had to start with no matter what anyway. But I can expand into magic in daily life from there. So what we're going to do is note down the schools of magic. We are gonna have a little bit of a board for each of these. So, new question. Which school of magic would you like to start with? This one you do have proper free reign of. Optics, cool. Alrighty. So, optics is the school of... I might call them classifications. Optics is the classification of magic that denotes light and vision. So I'm going to do some research while we do this. So what is optics? And define optics for me. So optics is the scientific study of sight and the behavior of light, the properties of transmission and deflection of radiation. So this is to do with the generation, transmission, manipulation, and detection of light. There's a lot of different types of light. So I'll also ask for tell me about the different How would that work with magic? The colorblind person? That is interesting. So I'm kind of thinking, maybe a colorblind person can force themselves to see color as the correct color. Who knows? Or maybe they can make everyone else see the right color as the wrong color. I'm not going to think too much about that. That can be a DM discretion thing for colorblind players. But let's see. So the nature of light. Wave particle duality. Light exhibits both wave-like and particle-like properties. As a wave, it can exhibit interference and diffraction. As particles called photons, it can be absorbed or emitted by atoms. Okay, so that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I've never studied this before, but that's why we're studying it now. I didn't really process anything in high school, and even if we did, I don't know if we even studied that. Okay, and then we got all these different interesting applications of how light works and how we can utilize it for magic. Cat, go away. Okay. I'm just getting all these notes down for now, and we'll kind of flesh it out a bit more later. Projectors that can use magic. Yeah. I imagine some tuning studies optic magic, and basically he'll come up with he'll just summon his own like little status screen, and he'll start playing around with it and make it look like he's interacting with the screen, but really he's just using magic to move everything himself, and none of the information on there is anything other than what he's come up with himself. Yeah, honestly, I've been getting through this magic school a bit faster than I thought we would as well. Like, at the pace that I'm going with this, having this plus the Night Academy done by the year end is entirely possible. So we could definitely get some kind of playtest system done by then for something next year, potentially. Okay, so we have a lot of information here to kind of work with. So, we have the reflection and refraction of light. So reflection is when light bounces off a surface. The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Refraction is the bending of light as it passes from one medium to another. We have diffraction and interference. So diffraction is the bending and spreading of light waves around obstacles and through small openings. And then the phenomena where two or more light waves overlap and combine to form a new wave pattern. Creates brighter light, more darkness. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be having dinner shortly myself, so I don't imagine I'll be here for much longer anyway. But yeah, no, that's an apt way of describing it. So, mirror reflection and water reflection. That's interesting. You gonna head off now then? Bye-bye! In the meantime, I guess I'll have a quick skim at these radio waves. Just to really see or determine if there's any purpose in using them. There's a lot to deal with the electromagnetic spectrum. So while optics and acoustics will overlap with it a lot, I wonder if this might be better suited for the electromagnetic branch of magic. I might not even need to worry about any of this electromagnetic wave stuff, because even if it's relevant to this field as well as the electromagnetic field, we aren't necessarily looking at those on such a specific level of detail. We are going to be generalizing this as much as possible, because these rules of law are literally the rules of nature, so we don't need to like reinvent anything or determine how any of it works. We're basically just trying to say, hey, this is the school of light slash vision and vibration slash sound, and anything that kind of falls under the manipulation of light and vision or vibration and sound can be achieved in some way by these schools according to the player agency and player freedom. So I think this right here is a very apt description on its own. Generation, transmission, manipulation, and detection of light. So we don't necessarily ourselves need to know that light exhibits wave-like and particle-like properties. It's more so the players playing the game. It'll be up to them to determine how they use this. So let's get rid of that. We don't need to worry about that. So optics is a classification of magic that denotes light and vision. This includes the generation, transmission, manipulation, and detection of light. And by extension, that all affects vision as a result. So we don't need to worry about that. And we don't necessarily need to know about this either. Yeah, we might not even need to do much more than a single paragraph for any of this kind of stuff. Cool. I think I'm cool with that. So let's do what I did before with optics, and do the same for acoustics. So acoustics is the branch of physics that deals with the study of sound, including its production, transmission, and effects. So these classes themselves will probably expand more on what like kids would learn within them if they're going to this kind of magic school in more detail. But for now, just that generalization is kind of enough to get an idea of what this stuff does. So I'm going to continue with the other ones now. So what is thermodynamics? Heat, energy, and the transformation of energy. Classification of magic denotes heat and cold, the study of heat. Cool. And it dealing with energy is well guess there's more room to like expand on it a bit more later on, but for now I think that is fine. Meanwhile, kinematics, which I still don't know if I'm pronouncing properly. Let's see how to pronounce kinematics.
Kinematics.
Kinematics. Okay, I think I've been doing it close enough. So kinematics is the motion of objects without considering the forces that cause the motion. So focuses on position, velocities, acceleration of objects, and how those properties are affected over time. Finally, what is electromagnetism? That is the interaction between electric charges and magnetic fields. Hello cat, thank you for joining me. You can stay on my lap, just don't click on the keyboard. So electromagnetism is one of the four fundamental forces of nature. Yeah, that's basically just electric charges and magnetic fields. So again, there is still like an avenue out there somewhere to do something to do with gravity for what we're doing with this school, but I think we've already kind of got a good idea of what we're doing with this. But with that said, I think that is a good place to leave off. I am going to go and get some food, and I will be back. I'm not sure. Sooner than later, hopefully.